What is up, guys? Rick here, and I wanted to bring you a video about DLC gun types in Destiny. So this is one of the things I've wanted for an extremely long time. Pre-Destiny, I have been campaigning for the addition of gun types in various games, mostly Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2, coming from Borderlands 1, cut out a lot of different gun types. The Hyperion assault rifles, the Vladov shotguns, and I was always saying I really would like these gun types put back into the game, and I always expected, until basically the last DLC came out and Borderlands 2 was officially done with, I've always expected those to be added with a DLC into the game to absolutely massively increase the different customization, the wealth of options that you have, and just to be experimenting with all these new guns and different rarities, different versions of those guns, but they never did, and it was extremely disappointing. Now with Destiny, we have another opportunity to add gun types in addition with the DLCs. Now, they have come out and they said, we're going to add new guns with these DLCs. Now, unfortunately, that's probably just going to be a few new exotics, and that's it. I don't think we deserve that. I think as the community, as someone in the Destiny community, with the absolute failure that was the Iron Banner, with the joke of a storyline, and with the discovery that there is completely done, fully rendered DLC areas that are on the disc they have ripped from the game in order to sell us back those same areas as DLC. I think as a community we deserve better. We deserve an extra step in our DLC. We deserve gun types. Now, to kind of help you wrap your head around why I think gun types are so important, and the kind of just how they would increase the value and the experimentation and just the amount of customization in the game. Imagine Destiny completely as it is, but imagine it shipped without fusion rifles. So there's no fusion rifles in the game. Now imagine little me, little Cactus HD, pitching to you guys, hey, I think they should add something through DLC, and I think that thing should be kind of like a shotgun, except for each shot it has to charge, and then it shoots a volley of projectiles just like a shotgun, but those projectiles travel in a kind of a straight circle rather than spread out in a cone, so you can be effective up to middle range. Now again, to compensate for this, they have a charge between each shot. Now imagine all the flack I would get also, and being someone who has made different videos advocating for the introduction of the Borderlands missing gun types, I can tell you some of the flack I'd be getting. Wow, that's the stupidest thing ever. It sounds so overpowered. A shotgun that goes to medium range, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's already shotguns in the game. There's no point to add something so similar to a shotgun. That argument I just said is one of the most common arguments I get when trying to add new gun types, is that there's something that may be similar to that gun that I'm pitching. And yet, we have fusion rifles in the game, and they are quite different from shotguns. And again, imagine the game with no fusion rifles, and then they added, as a DLC, fusion rifles. So you can get white fusion rifles, green fusion rifles, blue, purple, and there's a few exotics. So now you're experimenting with all these massive different amount of guns, figuring out, hey, you know, these purples are really good against actually taking down guys' shields on the Nightfall. They're extremely good. Wait, they're extremely crappy against Minotaurs because they teleport every time you shoot, and they're only around when you're charging. And also, not to mention, getting the exotics and seeing how different they are. Like, it would just increase the fun of the game and add such a new variety to the game. So without further ado, I'm going to start pitching my ideas. I have two different gun types for each category of guns, and I would also encourage you guys at the end of the video, please leave your ideas for comments, because I'm only one person. I have been thinking about these like for a month, running them back and forth between people, but again, I would really encourage you guys, if you have good ideas, please leave them in the comments and we can upvote, and hopefully Bungie will actually take notice to this video and add some gun types. So let's get into it. For primary, firstly, we have the laser rifle. There really isn't too much laser spacey type guns in the game, so I would really like the addition of a laser rifle. Now basically that laser rifle will be extremely familiar to the laser rifle in actually Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter, where it just shoots a straight red laser beam. Now the special thing about this laser rifle is that it would start out crappy and get better. As you are holding the trigger and there's a straight laser beam going at the target, the damage would go something like 8, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11, 11, 11, and keep getting better and better and better. Now this is going to create an extremely interesting dynamic to the game, because at the beginning it maybe isn't doing that much damage, but at the end it is doing phenomenal damage. You can take down targets extremely easily. Now, this would be interesting because you would have maybe a couple of different versions. Maybe it would be magazine charge. Maybe it would be actually it would be cooldown charge. So it would fill up a red bar, and if you held it too long, it would overcharge, and you would have to go through a very long reload animation, very similar to the Mass Effect 1 style guns. But also, it would be very interesting online because these would be underpowered when they first start out shooting, and overpowered when they were done shooting. So it'd be really interesting to see people actually like pre-shooting this gun on the ground and trying to predict when their engagements would occur in order to be doing the maximum damage, and also trying to predict if they could have the right amount of ammo to deal with the appropriate number of enemies that they do encounter when they engage them. I just think that would be extremely interesting dynamic online. And offline, it would just be basically really interesting to see a kind of a long range, almost a sniper rifle, but that would reward the longer you hold it on a guy. You would just do more and more damage over time. I just feel like this would be a unique addition to the game. Now, the second addition is SMGs as a primary. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't SMGs in the game, and although that there is assault rifles that can function kind of up close, often the fast shooting ones, I would still really encourage the addition of SMGs in the game. They would do more damage, noticeably more damage, than the assault rifles up close, but would have a drastic and very, very noticeable damage drop-off in medium range. So online, if you're using an SMG and you're using it to its maximum potential, you're using it that is totally in the range of fusion rifles and shotguns. So you're going to have to be extremely talented to be able to pull SMGs off. Now offline, again, they work very, very well up close, but just being up close, especially when you're doing high-level content, yeah, you're going to be killing guys extremely quickly. They're going to feel a little overpowered up close. Now, of course, for most of these examples, I'm talking about the purple versions. I'm not saying like the white version is going to feel overpowered. Of course not. It's going to feel like a piece of crap because it's white. Now, going back to it, you're going to feel like a beast up close, but just being up close, being that close to get SMGs to work is a danger in and of itself, especially in the very high level content like the Nightfalls, where a Minotaur can just one smack you, and especially if it's a certain type of burn on, you can just die with a single shot. So they're a very high risk, high reward strategy to using SMGs because you're in such close combat. Now, moving into special weapons. The first special weapon idea is combat shotguns. There's nothing more to this idea than combat shotguns would be always semi or fully automatic. So and basically when I mean semi-automatic, I mean basically hair trigger. Now, if you're wondering how to balance these type of shotguns and say, well, wouldn't they be overpowered compared to the pump action shotguns, I would simply point you in the direction of every single FPS to come out since 2003, because every Call of Duty, every Battlefield has found a way to balance the fully automatic and the semi-automatic and the pump action shotguns. Basically, these would often not be a one-hit kill unless you were like right in front of a guy and you shot him right in the face. They would often have to have a couple of trigger pulls to kill an enemy, so they would excel online, especially against killing when there was multiple guys. If you had a fully automatic shotgun, and yes, I know you can get a fully automatic upgrade to a technically pump action shotgun, but I want a base fully automatic shotgun with a 12-round magazine that if I get into a room and there's 5 people not looking at me, those 5 people are fucked. But the balancing factor is that if one of them is looking at me and one of them has a pump action shotgun, they can one-shot me way before I can kill them. So that is a balancing factor of the combat shotguns. Next, we have arc rifles. So this is definitely one of the more unique guns I've come up with, and it's a little hard to explain, but basically it would shoot an electric kind of pulse, like basically like a lightning gun. Now, it would shoot an enemy, and you can expect it would kind of be fusion rifle-esque in kind of how it kills. It would maybe be about 2 shots to kill a guy for the better ones, 3 shots for kind of the weaker ones. And they would shoot about as fast as like shoot, like, so you don't have the best rate of fire. Now, where these would do uniquely is that if you shot an enemy, it just does, you know, however much damage. He has 100 health, the best ones do 50, and then you shoot him again, and he's dead. Now, again, there would definitely lose out to stuff like shotguns and maybe even fusion rifles up close. But the unique thing about this, if you shot an enemy and there was another enemy standing beside him, it would arc over and hit the other enemy as well. So, if you found 3 guys standing there not looking and you shot one twice, it would arc over and hit the other 2 and you would kill all 3 at the same time you would kill the first one. So it rewards extremely aggressive play. It would be extremely a strategic type of gun. You would be trying to get into where all the enemies are to have this massive like arcing, killing all the enemy with one shot basically. But again, they wouldn't actually kill in a single shot. You'd have to shoot a few times, and they would definitely lose out to shotguns and the proposed SMGs and fusion rifles up close. But the potential to get multi-kills when you're killing enemies is definitely worth the risk. Next, moving into heavies. So heavies are definitely one of the things that need a new gun type. They only have 2 things in there right now, and they just really need something to spice it up. Now, firstly, we have the grenade launcher. A grenade launcher would be, you could have anything from the old kind of Vietnam era Thumper and also from Halo Reach, where it's just one shot you shoot and it shoots a grenade at an enemy. And you can have all the way up to a 6-round magazine, badass Battlefield 4 style grenade launcher. Now obviously these would do drastically different damages. You know, the one-shot one would basically kill essentially in one hit, whereas a multiple one would take several hits to kill an enemy. Now the purpose of a grenade launcher would simply be that they would be worse than rocket launchers in terms of damage and usually blast radius. They would simply do less damage than rocket launchers and have a less blast radius. So why would you use them? Well, because they would have a little bit more ammo than rocket launchers. Rocket launchers can only get about 5. These could maybe go up to 7, 8, 9, 10. But they would be extremely useful for getting rid of mobs. If you're getting charged by like 5 thralls, perfect time to use a grenade launcher. They would kill all the thralls in one shot. Whereas if you have a rocket launcher, it feels like a waste to use a rocket launcher because rocket launcher does such phenomenal damage, it can kill something way above thralls. Grenade launchers would be perfect for just adds control, killing a large group of weak enemies that's off of PvP. Now PvP, they usually actually probably wouldn't kill in one single shot unless you maybe had, you know, very good purples or exotics fully leveled up. But they would again be very good for splash damage. A few shots on an objective would kill anyone there, just like a rocket launcher. Now again, you're using up more ammo to be able to accomplish what a rocket launcher can do in one shot, but you also have just more extra ammo to go through and potentially kind of pick your engagements a little bit better. Now lastly, for a heavy, there's no better way to describe this than say, why isn't the Spartan Laser in Destiny? There was totally a need for a Spartan Laser in Destiny. It would be a great addition to the game. All you would have is essentially the Spartan Laser. Like, there's really nothing else to it. It would charge up and shoot a massively damaging laser beam towards an enemy. Now, this would be perfect as a heavy weapon because it would be extremely high skill, high reward gun. When you're fighting and you encounter a Reaver Captain, a Spartan Laser could kill it in a single shot, whereas a rocket launcher would maybe take 2. Now, what's the downside of using the Spartan Laser? Well, it would have absolutely basically no blast radius, so it would not be anywhere near as good as getting mobs of guys as a rocket launcher and the proposed grenade launcher. So it would be if you need to get rid of one high-level enemy, again, like a fallen Reaver Captain is a good example, a wizard, hive wizard, a Spartan Laser would be perfect. You charge up, you shoot the laser, you kill that single hard enemy, and there would probably have the same backup ammo as a rocket launcher, so it's going to be a pretty hard choice to pick between the two. Do you want to deal with a group of enemies, or do you want to deal with the hardest enemies in that group? Online, this simply would not be as good as a rocket launcher in almost any scenario. But you cannot tell me that you wouldn't love running around Spartan lasering people, guys. It is one of the most fun things to do, and anyone who played Halo 3 knows that. That is it for my ideas for new gun types in the game. Now I have one more idea, irrelevant of all the different gun types, and that is ancient weapons. During the first level, when you found that kind of old modern day weapon with the cracked scope, I was inspired by this. I really thought that was cool, and I really thought that maybe you could find another version of this gun. But it turns out you can't. That's basically the only version of it in the game. I would really love to see ancient weapons. You would find like ancient weapon drops. They would basically be as rare as getting purple drops, and you would maybe get a Scar H or an MP5 or an AK-47. You'd take this AK-47 and it would suck. It would have a starting attack of like 100, but then also go up to 300 just like the exotics and purples. Now what would happen is, again, it would absolutely suck at the beginning, and it would be dirty and like cut and cracked. The scope would be completely wrecked, and then you would start upgrading it. And the more you put into the gun, the more the attack would go way up. It would get cleaner, and eventually, if you upgrade it all the way, it would be a fully functioning, beautiful, clean AK-47, and it would just be extremely fun to use these kind of ancient weapons from the golden age that you can find around the world. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe for more Destiny content, and as always, have a good day.